I really, really, really love podcasting. And I really need you guys to understand that like podcasting is about to really, really blow up. Okay. So what I'm gonna do first is kind of like I like to give people a little bit of numbers. So is everybody here at least somewhat interested in podcasting? Thinking about it, talking about it, but not being about it? One of those. Okay. So I'm just going to give you guys a few statistics. So as of January 2021, it is actually 1.7 million podcasts out there. And so when people hear those numbers, they think, oh, everybody got a podcast, it's oversaturated. But what a lot of people don't understand is out of that 1.7 million, at least half of those have actually pod faded. Now, if you don't know what pod faded is, that means somebody gets super excited over podcasting, but then they're like, it's too much work, and they make 3 or 4 episodes and they never make an episode again. So most of the podcasts that's being counted in that 1.7 million, there are people who just pod faded. They started recording and they never recorded again. But there is only a small batch of people who are, consistent and making money on it. And so that's why this is a really good area to get into, in my opinion, over YouTube. Okay. Because YouTube, you're going to need 1,000 subscribers and you're going to need 4,000 hours of watch time to make any money. But when it comes to podcasting, you can start monetizing from day one. You start getting money from day one. Um, I made $150 off a podcast that I didn't even promote, and it just happened. If I actually promoted it, I probably would have made more money. 50% of all of the U.S. homes in America, I'm only talking about America. I'm not even talking about the whole world. 50% of the homes listen to podcasts. Listen to these numbers, y'all. Okay, the average listener is our age. Literally 50% of the people who listen to podcasts are between the ages of 12 and 34, and the rest is of over 35. So that's kind of my crew. But this is basically like, this is the audience where you want to be. So I always kind of like to tell people, even if you just got a little bit interest in podcasting, this is something that could be a really good, side activity, side hustle, or something you can do, while we out here doing a lot of our freelancing. Y'all know how the radio, television world is. It's going to be a lot of freelancing in our lifetime. But if you can find a way to kind of like monetize that through a podcast on the side, that's always a really good thing. And then you also can get hired in as podcast producers, audio editors at companies, because they have no idea how to do this stuff. So if you know how to do it, even if it's not something you went to school for, you're self-taught. They look at it the same way they look at animators who didn't go to school, but they are self-taught. So they look at audio the same way. So, last but not least, the average person actually listens to 7 different podcasts a week. So, again, let's just say 1 million people listen to podcasts and they listen to 7 of them a week. You can be one of those 7. So, you got to look at it like that. Okay. So, now, I'm gonna just go a little bit down. So some people, I found that some people are still sometimes confused on like what's the difference between video podcasting and podcasting, which is a very big thing that sometimes annoys me, because people really think it's a big difference, and they try to get you to buy these programs online and tell you, oh, let me teach you how to do a video podcast. A podcast is not called a podcast until it actually gets an RSS feed. And if you've been on the internet a long time, RSS feeds been around forever. They are basically like what we use today as hashtags. It's just a way to kind of get information, from the internet, and you use the RSS feed to keep track of that. And so that's what they're doing to your audio. They're using the RSS feed so that you can feed it into an app like Apple Podcasts, or app like like Spotify, or whatever the case may be. So it's basically a web format of your audio stream. Okay, so first things first is I'm gonna try to go down this list because I'm y'all can see I'm excited. Okay, so first things first, I am going to show you guys just with a screen share some basic audio tips. One of the things that a lot of people have an issue with when it comes to podcasting, they think that they have to have all this equipment. They think they got to have all these expensive microphones and whatever the case may be. You don't. You can just have your iPhone and just have a podcast that's just as good as anybody else's, right? So some of the things I usually tell people when they start a podcast is, just get started. You can worry about, the microphones later. You can worry about setting up a camera. You can worry about all that stuff later. But for right now, just get it started. And then that way you can see if whether or not this is something that you want to invest more into. So quick tips before I show you guys how to edit this audio. The best recording room situation that you guys want to have when you record a podcast is, like I was telling Shayna, a closet. A lot of people will be like, huh? But nobody's going to see you, so you won't look weird. But just go into a closet. Even better if there's clothes in that closet. Whatever can, absorb the sound waves, you can record your podcast in a closet with your phone. Now, again, you may not have a microphone, no problem. Use the wired headphones that came with your phone, or if you have an iPhone, that little mic on there is just a good enough filter. As buying one of these big microphones that have one of these like filters on it. So same difference. Hook up that headphone set to your iPhone, go sit in the closet with a chair and your laptop, just in case you want to use the script, and go ahead and record, and nobody will know the difference. So those are the best recording tips I could tell you for at home. If you are somewhere where there is a lot of sirens, I'm going to show you tonight easy ways you can remove background sounds like sirens, ambulances, and air conditioning sounds, because these are all the things that happen in our houses if we're recording stuff at home. Because everything is at home nowadays. So I'm going to show you guys a quick screen share. I got some samples, so I'm going to show you how to remove that. And I'm also going to show you how you guys can make templates to make recording a podcast easy for you. And when I say templates, basically, you can have your intro and your outro pre-recorded along with your music pre-recorded. So every time you record your podcast, all you got to do is drop it on an audio bed and keep it moving. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that real quick. Okay, let's see. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I already got the stuff up here. So I'm just gonna go over everything that kind of I have in place. So over here to the left is where you would import your audio. So the best thing I love about Adobe Audition is it is not like Premiere Pro. You do not have to have everything in one place and then all the weird languages come up if they're not in one place. It doesn't matter with Adobe. With Adobe Audition, it doesn't care. You can pull your audio from anywhere, and as long as you have it over here on the left side, you're good to go. So waveform is basically where you will put all of your files that you want to edit first. So for example, let's say, this is my music, my intro music. You got Trapped as my outro music. And then this is my podcast that I recorded. Now, these are just like real podcast episode samples that I'm going to use just to kind of show you guys. So first thing I want to do is show you how to make the audio bed first. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So what you want to do is once you pull all your audio into waveform, again, it's just like any other Adobe program. You can right click and import, or you can import, from the file and open area. Put everything you want to put on your podcast, you put it all in one place, and then you want to move to multi-track mix down right here. So it'll say new multi-track session, and then you just, name it whatever your episode is going to be. episode 1. Right? Go ahead and save it. And then it's going to pop up like this. Now, the reason why I love it like this is because it kind of helps you to separate the different audio so you could kind of know what's going on. So I'm just going to walk you guys through what I would do if I was creating an episode right now. So first thing you want to do is always do labels. Labels are important because you will lose track of what you're doing. So I'm going to just write intro here, podcast here, and then outro here. Okay. So first things first, again, you can just, kind of drag and drop with the music. So we're going to make this music here, right? Again, I'm just giving y'all samples. And so we're going to put the music there. We want your intro to never be more than 20 seconds. Attention spans. Everybody ain't got time to be sitting and listen to a whole song. You want it to be under 10 seconds when it comes to an intro. Some people like to start off with music and their voice. And some people just like to start off just with the music and then go right into it. So move this down. So we're going to go ahead and put that. That's my intro. This is my audio. And so this is another thing that's important. If you want to edit that audio in the same time while you are in multi-track mix down, you can just double click on it and it'll open back up in waveform. You could do a quick edit. So I'm going to just edit this because I'm not about to edit a whole hour podcast or see. I think I already cut this. Yeah, this is only a minute. So I'm going to cut this up. So if this was longer and I wanted to edit something, let's say I want to take out that. I edit a lot of podcasts, so I know this is a breathing sound. See, yeah, that's a breathing sound. So you just select it and cut it. The best thing about edit audio is cut and paste. If you know how to do cut and paste on a word, then you know how to do cut and paste in here. Everything is basically a selection and cut. Or you can select it, right click, and you could silence it with one of these right here. Yep. Or you can just straight up delete it. One thing that's very important, I must mention, it just came to my mind right now, is when you have your audio here, you want it to be at least at -6. Anything above that is going to start clipping. You guys know what that is. If you edit videos a lot, then probably know a lot of what I'm talking about. So what I usually do is select this, make it super loud, and then I'll go to, I can't see my top part. Oh, I can move it. Oh, shoot. Go to FX, amplitude and compression, and then a hard limiter. My hard limiter is always set on -6. Somebody at a radio station taught me this a long time ago, and I just been using it ever since. And it just makes it a nice standard audio level for when somebody is sitting in the car. If you don't watch this level and you just, let's say you recorded it and it's like at a -12 or a -9, it don't matter how loud you turn your radio on in the car, you will still sound super low. That's why this part is important, to turn it up to make sure everything is like that even sound. You don't want to have any low points or whatever when it comes to having your podcast going in the car. So I did a little quick edit. I went right back to multi-track, and the edit automatically updates over here. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this over here. And then this is like a resizer. This is kind of like a zoom in and zoom out. Then this song is gonna be my outro. We're just gonna cut it up right here. Again, these are just sounds, so I know these are music and I know this is me talking. So this is your audio bed. You got your intro, first line, you're talking, and then you got your outro. The only thing you want to make sure you do is make sure you got a nice fade effect. When you finish talking, you want to make sure the music and the audio kind of like fade together. So like this. Let's see. Do I here? Then I drop that down, zoom in. And right when the audio start going down, I want to make sure I start talking right there. So,
Deprina, did you just click to add keyframes?
Yeah, you just click to add a keyframe right there with the little with the little mouse. You don't have to hit like a pen tool like you do in Premiere. You literally just click on the line. So right here, start talking. Welcome back. The wait is over. So you guys see how I did that? You got your music. Make sure that music fade out when they start talking. Take this to the end. I'm gonna do the same thing to the end, but of course you want that music to fade in. So let's see. Zoom this in. And that magnifying glass is your best friend. Trust me when I say that. So we want to do here. That's awesome. Listen. So we're going to click here. Slide it down. Make sure this even out. So now we need her voice to fade out while this music is going to fade in. And you can always mess with it. I always kind of mess around with this. But as long as you hold down, you could kind of move it wherever you want to. You can even put more of these, make it whatever you want to do. You can make it even super loud. Of course, you don't want to do that. It might blow somebody's speakers out, but you get the gist of it. So we want to start this music fading in right when they finish talking. There you go. So you could kind of see they're talking. Let me hear a louder voice. Okay, so right here. So I want this to be lower now. Okay, so you can see how I did that. So you can always fade, but of course, as you also can see, it's hitting that red, so you already know it's too loud. You already know it's too loud because you don't want it to, you don't ever want your audio to hit that red. So you already need to turn this down some. There we go. There you go. So that's the gist of how you edit your podcast. Intro, outro, and then you want your meat of your podcast. But how would you make this a template so I ain't got to keep doing this every single time, right? So we see that this moves, right? And we already see where, our levels are going to go up. Starts right here. Go ahead and stretch this out. And we already say this is our intro. So what you do is you can just basically delete this center part. Okay. And so next time you like, okay, cool, I'm on episode 3. All you gotta do is drop your audio right here and you can move these around if you want to. But what you do is you keep your intro and your outro there and you basically just go to File, Save As, keep it in the SESX file. You want to keep it in that file format. You don't want to put it in MP3 or whatever, and you don't want to put it in a WAV file. You just want to make sure you keep it just like that. So audio training. And so I'm just going to name this. Audio episode template, whatever. Save. Okay. And so that is saved. So next time I go and open it up, it'll be there waiting for me. Okay. Any questions? I can't see anybody real quick, but anybody got any questions before I go to the removing the background? Am I going too fast? I'm just not trying. I'm trying to be quick, but entertaining. So, okay. So now we'll go and I'll show you guys this background remover. So if you guys use Premiere Pro a lot, you probably know about this. I use this a lot, even when I edit my videos, because if you know, you can always right click on your audio in Premiere Pro and it will pop open in Adobe Audition, right? You can do all your edits in Adobe Audition, close it out, and then it automatically open up in Premiere Pro. So this audio editing little tiny tricks I use all the time is also something that you can use when editing your videos. If you edit in an independent film and, you know, somebody wants to drive by in an ambulance. So let's go ahead and I'll show you that. So I got a siren sample right here. All right, I'm gonna play it so you guys can hear it.
And so they'll go back there and they'll imagine themselves, and that actually propels you into, as you go into a meeting. So by the time you...
Okay, so you guys hear that background siren. She's like, I took this off of YouTube. So she's like recording her podcast in her house with this lady, and you can hear the sirens. So when you see this in your audio file, the same thing I'm about to show you with removing the siren, it is one of the many ways that you can also remove background sounds when it comes to removing air conditioning sounds. The air conditioning remover is really easier. I'll show you guys that too. But this one is has like 2 steps to it. Well, at least I like to call it 2 steps. So first thing you want to do is the spectral frequency display, right? Hit on that. Now, we know that noise always has usually the same pattern, right? So when we hear that siren in the background,
actually propels you into...
You can see this is the sound of that siren, and it's pretty consistent all the way through. So once you hit this spectral frequency display, it's basically kind of going to show you this area. I don't know. I like to call it the heat wave. I'm sure it has a professional name, but you know, you got to do what works for you. So when you see this little heat wave, you got to be like, okay, go to my paintbrush. So you grab this paintbrush selection tool up here, and then it goes back to if you are use Photoshop. Anybody who use Photoshop, you know what this is. This is basically like erasing it. So this little circle, as you can see, it pops up. If you want to make this circle smaller, you hit the left open bracket. And if you want to make it bigger, you hit the open, you hit the right bracket, and you can change the different sizes of this. So I'm going to just make it a little medium. See this. Okay, so then you just start erasing. So you press down and you start erasing that sound, because this is basically the sound model. Now, the only thing is, if you take your finger off, you'll be like, oh man, it might end up erasing that one if you take your finger off. What you have to do is, if you come to the end of your trackpad and you're like, I can't move my finger no more, you want to hold down the shift key. This circle pops up with a plus. Just keep your hand on that shift key, and then you can finish erasing everything. So everything that's that sound model. So again, I'm showing you guys some quick examples of the lines that I can see. I really can't see too many of the lines, but you can always, like zoom in and zoom out to really look at all these little audio waves. Now, this is really good for clicking noises. Maybe you was recording and somebody was like, well, let me go to the kitchen. And they walking past with their loud shoes. That's going to have a same consistent noise pattern. So as long as you can find a noise pattern, you can erase it. So I'm going to just try to erase as much as I can and get it out of here. So got everything erased. First thing you want to do is you want to go to your effects, noise reduction and restoration. And then you want it to basically learn the sound model, right? So again, I told you guys, sirens and stuff are consistent. So we've already erased it, with the little paintbrush. So now we want them to learn the sound model. So now it knows what the sound model is. Cool. Now we want to make sure we hit this tool right here, the time selection tool. Okay, you want to select everything. Right? Because remember, we already learned the sound model. So you select everything Go back to effects. All the magic happens in effects. So go back to effects, noise reduction, restoration, and then you should hit the sound remover process. Now look at the top, look at the bottom. I'm telling y'all, it's like magic, y'all. It's like magic. If you see the top, my wave is right there. That's my siren. But if you look at the bottom, where did it go? It's not there. So we'll hit apply. It completely removed it. Okay, so it removed the siren, right? So this is what I say. This is a tedious process right here, because if you don't zoom in or if you don't take your slow time, I usually take my slow time, I'm probably about good 10, 20 minutes if you really get the siren sound. But if you zoom in and take your slow time, then it will sound more cleaner, because the things that happen when you remove background sound or when you remove sirens, sometimes the issues that arise is it can also distort your voice, or it might give you an echo sound, which is fine, because remember, everything you do, you can delete. Everything you do, you can redo, undo it, or whatever the case may be. But if you zoom in, you can be more precise with removing that background sound, and then it still sound clear. But you guys, you see the proof right here. I don't see no waveform no more. Ain't no siren. All you hear is the girl talking in the background. And you can use this same method when it comes to removing air conditioning sounds. But I'm gonna show you guys that real quick, just because removing air conditioning sounds is easier. And it's usually because of this. If you notice right here that these are kind of fat right there, it's not a individual line, right? So when it comes to removing air conditioning sounds, consistent humming in the background, this is why, again, we learned this in TRF. When you start recording, what you do, you got that little 10 seconds of silence, of room noise that you record. Now, this is why room noise is important, because room noise is just like learning that sound model. We need to know what's in the background so that we can remove the background. So I don't really know what this is. Yep, it's air conditioning again. Sometimes when you edit a lot of audio, you start to kind of know exactly how the sound waves look and what's what. So just selected that. Sometimes it will work if it's less than 10 seconds, but 10 seconds is what you want to have. You want to have 10 seconds because that's the best way. So you select the background sound, you go to effects, and then you go to the noise reduction. You want to capture that noise print. So now they know about the noise print. Capture noise print and learning the sound model is very similar. That's why I said the same thing you use for removing siren, you can use that same thing for removing background air conditioning sounds or whatever the case may be. So then we select the whole thing. We go back to noise reduction. Sometimes you can mess around with this. Again, usually when I have more time, I might mess around with this a little bit just to kind of see what's the difference, smooth it out. I might check out a YouTube video so I can figure out what I'm doing. But again, everything is a learning process. But now I just go here and I hit apply and see what happens. And so that one didn't work, because if you look at the seconds, that was only 1.5 seconds. So if you do anything that's less than 10 seconds or less than 5 seconds, you will not have enough room to kind of do that background sound. So let's see, we're going to have to make up a background sound right here. This is just, you don't want to do this, but you can make up your background sound. If you need the more time, you can always do it. But again, I didn't really have any files that had air conditioning sound, because apparently I already removed all the sound, but that's the process. Effects, noise reduction, capture the noise print. It captured it, select the whole thing, effects, It's kind of like a repetition, repeating it over and over again. And then you want to go to noise reduction and then apply and then it remove it. See, y'all see that time it was more than 2 seconds. So it kind of did it, even though I made up that background sound. But you can see.
Right. With Deprina, myself, and April. Say hi, lady.
So now you can see you don't really hear no background sound when it comes to that. So you got your template, you got your background sound and effects, sirens, making sure you do your proper titles, and you're cutting and pasting. And that's the basics of editing a podcast. I mean, that's real when you keeping it simple, and you just cutting and editing. So before I move on a little bit to Clubhouse, anybody have any questions? Okay. So do any of you guys know about Clubhouse? No. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all. Don't make fun of me, y'all. I'm getting excited. Listen, let me tell y'all. You want to be on Clubhouse if you have an iPhone. Okay. It is only for iPhone users. I think I have 5 invites left. So if y'all want, y'all can always inbox me your number and I will invite you. It's only invite only. It is basically a drop-in audio platform. It's, to me, it's nothing like any other platform because it's almost like going to multiple TED Talks on a daily basis every day, and you get information from, you know, people in the industry that you would never be able to meet face to face on a normal basis. And this can help when it comes to podcasting. It can help if you are just an online digital creator, social media manager, whatever you're interested in, animation, whatever. It is on Clubhouse. And y'all, I'm telling you, I have been in Clubhouse rooms and there, I don't know nobody's name, but I know they didn't produce some stuff. I was in a room with Tyler Perry before and they was talking like, it is people on there that are in the movie industry, music industry, TV industry, execs. They're holding full Clubhouse rooms. And they have this thing where they tell you could come to the stage. So basically, when you first look at Clubhouse, it's nothing, it's no pictures, right? So you don't have to be beautiful to be on there. It's just your voice and just the stuff that you know. It is nothing but talking heads. So when you get on there, you're on there and it shows on your profile who invited you. And then you can make your profile as long as you want to. There's no limit. You can make it 500 words if you want to. Tell people to check out your website, check out the short film, what school you went to, buy this, buy that. You can say it all right there in Clubhouse. So inside of Clubhouse, they have rooms like what they call clubhouses. I know it sounds weird, but it's clubhouses inside of Clubhouse, right? So one of the clubhouses that I'm in is actually called like pod room or something like that. So everybody in that particular club, they have something every Monday, every Wednesday. They talk about, you know, basically the state of podcasting. So this is where you get your tips on how you can promote your podcast. You know, you get tips on where you can, how you can improve it, how you can sell stuff on it. You know, how you can get guests. Like I probably sat, the longest I sat in the Clubhouse room, and y'all, I ain't even playing, like 3 hours. I sat in the Clubhouse room because they were sitting in there and they was telling people the exact things that they needed to do to get guests on their show, right? So a lot of people don't think about this stuff when you start a podcast and you're like, I want to start a podcast and I want to interview people. And the majority of the time, everybody will tell you yes, because everybody has something that they're trying to promote. So they're always going to tell you yes. But what you want to make sure you do is make sure you have some sort of contract that you write up for folks. There was a lady in one of the Clubhouse rooms and she was talking about how she had somebody come on her podcast, you know, I guess to talk about adoption or something like that. And then, you know, she posted the episode, but then a few weeks later, the lady told her, no, you can't play that episode. I don't want you to play it. All because the lady decided to have somebody that was against adoption on her show. The lady was like, no, don't play my episode. I don't want to be associated with your show. Now, if she had a contract, she could have avoided that because, you can't just say yes to coming on my show and then tell me what I can and can't do to my audio. So if you decide to start having people as a guest on your show, you want to make sure you have some type of contract. And again, this stuff is online. You can literally Google guest contract, and they let you download free guest contracts right online. So that's something that's really important. When it comes to music, it pretty much works the same way that YouTube videos work. You want to make sure you use free music sources, things that does not have copyright on it. My main one that I use, and this is safe, is the YouTube audio library, not the videos. Not the videos that people are like, yeah, you got to give me attribution. I'm not trying to give you an attribution on my podcast. If you go to the YouTube audio library, that stuff is completely free. You can do whatever you want to it. You could change it. You could put some tracks on top of each other. The YouTube audio library has some gems in it, so don't sleep on it. So you definitely want to make sure you get that free music for your podcast. No, you cannot play the song that you just heard on the radio. You can't play any of that stuff. There's no 10-second rule or 30 seconds of, no, you can't do none of that because you will get those copyright strikes very similar to a YouTube video, and you just don't want to have to deal with that. So some quick tips. When you hear money, everybody want to really know how you can make money with a podcast. And with a podcast, again, this associates with Clubhouse. Quick example. I was in a Clubhouse and one of my friends was the host. Now, you host a Clubhouse room, you're going to get a lot of followers. I don't know why, but you just get a lot of followers because everybody wants to follow the experts or follow the people on the stage that's talking about a particular topic. So I was in a Clubhouse room and my friend was hosting it. And then when I got in the room, she kind of like called me to the stage. So that's what they call it. They'll call you to the stage. A thing will pop up on your screen and they'll be like, such and such, and want you to come to the stage. And so you just hit okay, or you can raise your hand. They have a hand raising option if you want to come on the stage and say something or ask a question or talk to the person that's actually hosting this Clubhouse room. So I get on the Clubhouse room floor and I'm, of course, again, talking about podcasting because I love it. And it's the easiest thing to monetize. Soon as I start talking about podcasting and I get on the floor and I start talking about it and I tell people, I have a free podcast group. I have a goal to teach 100 people how to podcast this year. Join my group. Before I even finished talking, and I probably was talking about 10, 15 minutes, I already had 15 people in my inbox on Instagram because you link your Instagram and you link your Twitter to Clubhouse. So when people want to know more about you, they just go straight to your Instagram page or straight to your Twitter. I had 15 people, no lie, in my inbox asking, what's the name of your club? What's the name of your Facebook group? Joining. When I first started the free Facebook group, I only had like maybe 20 or 30 people in it. And now today it's up to 51 people. Just because I keep telling people, you want to join this group. They're trying to charge people $50, $60, $100 a month in some cases just to learn how to podcast. And you don't have to pay nobody to teach you how to podcast. It's no major secret to it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can monetize. It's all about focusing on the content. So when you are in a Clubhouse room and you got something to sell or something to promote, that's where the monetization comes from. So you can tell people, yes, I have a podcast. It's about XYZ, right? Bam, you got listeners. You just pulled up just from being in the Clubhouse room, right? So people listen to your podcast. When you upload a podcast to Apple, there's a little information section. There you go. Drop your link to your t-shirt line you probably designed. Drop a link to your short film, your YouTube channel, whatever. That's the area where you can start to monetize all your stuff because people are going to listen to your podcast. Then they're going to look at your links and they're going to click on your links and see the other content like oh, I like this person. What else they doing online? I'm gonna follow them and do try to see what else they're doing. So that's a good way to monetize by using Clubhouse. It's kind of using this whole 360 effect that I like to call it. There's sites like Patreon. If you are a person who do live streams or you're on YouTube right now, you already know about Patreon. A lot of people use Patreon. Believe it or not, if people like you, they will pay $4 a month. $5 a month to keep on listening to you because they know it costs money to have microphones and lights and an internet to even be online. So people don't mind supporting you when you have the content. So those are just some of the ways you can monetize when having a podcast. And if you monetize with Anchor, which is a free platform, Anchor also allows you to drop people a link so they can donate to you 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $10 a month. And if people want to support you like that, they can support you right inside of the Anchor app, and you can make money from that. See, anything else?
Renee had a question.
Yes. What's the question, Renee?
Is that only for iOS user?
Yes, it has to be iPhone 6 or better because I wasted one of my invites on somebody with a 6 and it did not work on their phone. So you must be above the 6. So 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 29, whatever number they own right now. That's the number iPhone you have to use. I think I went across everything. The last thing. This is the last thing, y'all, I promise. The most important thing is batch processing. Okay. So if you guys remember me talking earlier, I told you guys pod fading is real. Pod fading is what happens to a lot of people. That's why even though they say it's 1.7 million podcasts, it's probably really only 50% of those are actually active. So batch processing is something you want to do before you premiere your first episode. You want to make sure you pre-record at least 2 to 3 episodes. So let's say I got a podcast that's dropping April 1st. I want to get all my recordings, all my interviews. I want to schedule all that in March, right? So when April comes and I start promoting it on social media and I start promoting it on Facebook and telling my mom and them, then it's like, bam, you don't have to work all of April if you don't want to because you already got your episodes already pre-dropping, right? So it makes it easier so that you won't pod fade if you do a schedule ahead of time. For example, my current podcast that I'm working on, this is be like my 3rd or 4th one that I'm doing myself. The other ones I just help people on. I actually have 52 episodes. This is just one. But I wrote down a topic for 52 episodes so that I know that I at least have an episode that can drop every other week for at least the next year and a half or something like that. So as long as you do a lot of pre-planning and careful planning and know what you want to talk about, you never have to worry about pod fading. It won't seem like work. You can pre-record the stuff. All these platforms, they let you schedule it ahead of time up to a year. I mean, you can literally record all your episodes and just have it dropping and then spend most of your time promoting, and it's nothing. So again, that's everything I have to say about podcasting. I love it. It's great. If anybody have any questions, I'm pretty sure I can answer them for you. But yes, that's it. I'm done.
Patrick has a question and then Will.
Okay.
Hi. So my question basically is, I remember you mentioned YouTube earlier, and you were kind of like dissuading people from using it as their platform.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning for doing that, and what's sort of the alternative you recommend?
Okay, so YouTube does not offer RSS feed. Okay, so if you don't have an RSS feed, you don't have a podcast. You have a YouTube show, right? So when people say they are video podcasting, it's because not only did they set up the lights and camera and start recording, right? But they also ripped the audio, then uploaded it to something like Buzzsprout or uploaded it to something like Anchor. So you're basically giving yourself that double work, right? because YouTube will bury a talking heads video, right? Unless you're somebody like, I don't know, somebody famous or some, I don't know, B-level celebrity that just started a podcast. That's the only time it's really going to, get those views or going to get those subscriptions. But in the beginning, you don't want to waste your time like that. Maybe after you start getting a little bit more downloads, then you could be like, okay, let me do both. But it's never a podcast until it's actually has an RSS feed that is on a podcast platform. And I mean, you're wasting time because you're not making no money because, YouTube they just be hating when it comes to monetizing. So yeah, so that's why. The only thing I would use YouTube for is if you already have an established channel and you're just promoting clips. So record yourself, recording your podcast. Maybe you got a really good interview with somebody, somebody known, or I don't know, a producer on one of your internships. And they was like, okay, I interviewed you on podcast. And you like, cool. So you're like, let me record this. Then you can record it, but then only put like 2 or 3 minute snippets on YouTube, and then in the body of it, you want to hear more? Check out my podcast on Apple Podcasts. So you will use that as a promotional platform, and then you can use something like Headliner for that, because Headliner will pull out snippets of your podcast, and that way you can promote it online. So yeah, don't just stay away from. If it ain't RSS feed, it's not a podcast.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Will.
I just had a question about how you're able to get your podcast on things like Apple Music and Spotify or SoundCloud or anything like that.
Right. So first off, friends don't let friends record on SoundCloud. So you don't want to do that. Just want to make sure you understand that. Stay away from SoundCloud. So they make you feel like getting on Apple, or getting on Spotify is like, so hard in this magic mixer. It's not. Every single podcast distribution platform, they immediately upload it to it for you. Like, you don't pay for it. It's not no special rewards. You don't have to have a certain amount of subscribers. I can upload my podcast right now today, and Anchor will talk to Apple, talk to Spotify, talk to all these platforms, and your podcast will be on those main platforms and a whole bunch of other ones, okay? I think when I used to teach kids how to podcast, like third graders how to podcast at the Boys and Girls Club, they were on Apple Podcasts. They were on Spotify. You get what I'm saying? They was on Google Podcasts. So it's no exact science to it. It's available for everybody for free. It's no special science. Soon as you upload it to one of these distribution, they do it for you. Or you can just go straight to Apple and upload it yourself, connect to your Apple account and just copy your RSS feed. Remember, RSS feed is the most important thing. You can put that RSS feed anywhere and they will start distributing it. So yeah, it's nothing. It's real easy. It's nothing. You can do it in like 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Alexa, I know you really wanted to come tonight. Are you thinking about making a podcast, or do you have ideas and recorded something and now it's like, what's the next step? Is that where you are?
Yeah, so like I am starting a podcast with my roommate through like our school radio system. And like we're both new at this. So we thought, like, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this would be perfect to like just get some background knowledge, and I feel much more like comfortable being able to start it now. So thank you.
Yeah. It's gonna be super easy. So don't panic. Nobody's watching you. Be yourself. And as long as you be yourself and show your personality, trust you will get those listens. So yeah.
Yeah, so this meeting is recorded and then we post it on our YouTube channel. So if anything she was doing in audition or something, or you forget why you need the RSS feed and all that kind of stuff, it'll be there. Yep. So I'll post that tomorrow, and then I'll send a link out for it to the same email list.
Yep.
Alexa, did you join?
Let's see. I did have like 2 people from last Tuesday, not last Tuesday, Tuesday before, they joined. So
Okay. Does anyone have any podcasts they want to promote that you do besides Deprina?
right.
Well, Deprina, I think you should promote yours.
Yeah. So really, like I said, the podcast that I'm in the process of batch processing, so I won't pod fade. This is a real thing, guys. It's real. You do not want to pod fade. It's almost like starting something and just like not doing it ever again. And you like, dang. I remember back in 2007 when I pod faded and it's still there because it's just like the internet. Just stuff is going to be here forever. Like my podcast, my first one I ever did, I pod faded. It's still online to this day. And I'm like, why did I do that? Right. So this stuff is going to live on the internet forever. The current one I'm doing right now is going to be called First Semester because lessons that your mama taught you was taken. So again, when it comes to titling your podcast, you definitely want to do some Googling so yours can be as unique as possible. And nobody has the title First Semester. It's basically going to be kind of like this school life lessons theme. And so every episode is going to be about stuff I had to learn on my own. And basically a lot of stuff about the internet because, you know, we grew up in the age where we know the internet. And for some reason, our parents who had the same amount of time don't understand the internet for some reason. So that's what this podcast, my podcast is going to be about. But my ultimate goal is to teach everybody how to do. You can do it at your own pace, but I'm telling you, I could teach you how to do a podcast in 2 weeks. If that's all you got is 2 weeks. So I dropped the link to my free podcast class that I do every Saturday. The link is in the comments. Basically, Facebook groups does this thing where you can basically set up your Facebook group almost like it's a learning module. So each one is set up in different guides. So if you just follow the tracks of the guides, every video, I do 1 hour videos from the beginning to the end, from how to start it, how to create your own podcast art, which has to be 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. Okay. It can't be smaller. It can't be larger than that. So I'll show you how to create your own podcast art, to finding a good distribution site, how to research them. I got a list of, microphones. I've created a full checklist. I've created even a script book where you can write your script so you can, kind of know what you're going to say before you say it. So I have all those files in there. So if you join the group, of course, I will accept you. And then you could just go at your slow pace and all the information is there. And this weekend, I'll be going for a full hour, going more in depth about promoting and monetizing and how to get your stuff around on social media and get those followers and those downloads. So yeah, that's all I got to promote.
Yay. And did anyone else have a Clubhouse experience they wanted to talk about? I know, Sean, you're on it.
Yeah, I'm on it, and my invite was from Deprina, so thank you, Deprina, for that. It is a very strange thing. I mean, you can learn a lot, and like Deprina said, she spent 3 hours on there. It's a great time waster, but it is very unique because it's very intimate in a way where it doesn't seem like a podcast or even listening to radio. And I think it's that whole thing because you're not on camera. It's almost like it sounds like you're eavesdropping on a phone conversation.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people, especially I didn't see like Tyler Perry on there or anything, but especially like high level people that show up, I think they kind of talk differently and maybe even like give out different information because the crowd they're talking to is so small and it's so direct. So it's definitely very interesting, and I would check it out if you can find an invite.
Yeah. I mean, it's one on here right now that literally is titled Filmmaking from Pre to Post to Marketing to Distribution. And it's a whole Clubhouse. And like people are in there talking.
Yeah.
How many people can you invite once you're in?
So this is how the invites work. When you first join or somebody has invited you, you get 3 initial invites, right? So as long as you listen in on rooms and, you know, like when I think from being in the room for 3 hours that one day, they gave me like 3 more invites, right? So then when I got called to the stage in another room, I got like 8 invites, right? So as long as you keep being active on the app, they give you more invites so that you can, you know, make it more, you know, make it bigger, whatever the case may be. So.
Cool. Does anyone else have any final words? Next week, Tanner and Cami are going to, I don't know, talk about some kind of Adobe stuff.
It'll be fun, I promise.
So they're gonna figure out that, and then we'll announce that this weekend. So yeah, hope you all come back next week and have a great night.